Sometimes in life, you just gotta try things out and see if it works. This is a perfect situation that I have, and today I'm 1 for 2. And here in this tank is my 1 of 2 that worked, and there's another one that did not work whatsoever. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. So there's actually 6 fish total that involve this entire situation. The first one is that OB you see briefly behind that intake tube. The second one is that orangish color looking one is a dragon blood peacock, that's a female, and the blue dolphin that's just beyond that rock cave. Fourth one is that middle center one on the bottom there, that's a Venusis giraffe cichlid, that's a female. And then another one you'll see briefly, but that one there, that OB I call Skittles, that's going to be the main culprit for this situation. Welcome to Aggression Progression, Episode 2. Owning African cichlids can be both a blessing and a curse, but as long as we learn from our experiences, it can make the journey an amazing accomplishment. So that one OB that you see following closely behind Skittles, I called that one Kratos from the God of War series. He's following pretty closely behind Skittles because I had just re-added Skittles back into the tank after a week timeout along with the other one, Midnight. Skittles used to be the aggressor in this situation. That's why Kratos was hiding all the time when Skittles was in this tank previously. But since removed, the ranking system went up and what seemed to look like Kratos got moved up and Skittles was down. Crazy to think about, right? Fish having a rank and knowing their position in the tank? It's nuts. Well, here's the first sign of aggression right here. These two start going at it. And like I said before, it looks like Kratos is saying, hey, you were out, and I'm still here. So that means I'm the man. So he was pretty much trying to prove himself. And by the way, that's Midnight there in between the two. But he has nothing about this situation. It's strictly Skittles and Kratos. Now I've been monitoring this situation very closely because I didn't want any fish deaths. So the way it seemed, you'll see this happen again just there, that still Kratos is showing that, Skittles needs to get out because he's high up the ranks and just trying to prove himself. But as they start to separate and more fish get in the way, I was kind of hoping that would help out too. But it just seemed like Kratos would not give up. And here they start going at it as well. So, from the looks of it, after that happened, I thought to myself, well, maybe Kratos said, hey, this is my tank, so back down. And Skittles was just kind of swimming around. But here they go again. Kratos just was not giving up. He was the god of the tank, and he wasn't originally. But if you guys keep watching, what happens next is absolutely insane. In all my years of fish keeping, I've never seen something like this happen. And I knew that African cichlids had some type of aggression to it. And this tank actually has been relatively peaceful, except for these two. And Kratos was actually a pretty calm fish, that's why Skittles was always chasing after him. There's a few things I will mention before the main event happens of what made me make the decision to remove Skittles completely. So learning from experience, I found out that there were still females in this tank. And sometimes when buying African cichlids, it's hard to tell male and female until they start growing out and showing color and different odds and ends. So I moved those female, I added a few more male fish, redecorated, removed the fish from the situation, and then put it back in when the females were removed. And I was hoping that was going to be a solution and that this wouldn't happen. But as you can see, and as it's progressed for this aggression progression, it was on. And here's Midnight again, just to kind of show you an example that Kratos wasn't too fond of Midnight either. That was just Kratos showing his dominance, just like with Skittles. that he was the tank boss. And this is the part that if you're a little squeamish around fish violence, can turn your head away, because I've never seen this in my entire life. But check this out. Oh my gosh. All of a sudden, Skittles was the man. And look at him talking smack to Kratos, saying, "Hey, back off. This is my house." That is crazy. At that minute there, I realized, wow, Skittles has retaken his position, and Kratos was nothing. He had retaken his territory, and at this moment, Kratos was getting backed up, and Skittles continued to talk smack to Kratos, and Skittles basically just backed him up and said, "Hey, get out." And that was the end of it. Skittles got him all the way back to his original hiding spot where he always was. So, I did what I had to. Okay, come on guys, I'm not that mean. I know it's a rough situation, but I have a little bit better heart than that. Poor guy. I felt so bad for him. Now there's some honorable mentions here. I started watching Midnight, and I really wasn't too happy, as you can tell, with how things are playing out. Like I had mentioned, I had bought a few male fish to add to the tank, and they were a little on the pricey side, and I really didn't want anything to happen to them, and I really liked them as well. Things really weren't going as I had hoped, especially after I had figured out that I had removed the females and hoping to get rid of that aggression, as well as giving these fish a break to breathe for a little bit. But it just seemed like things kept happening. It's definitely worth noting that every fish has a different personality, and you never have the same fish, just like human beings. Everyone has a story, everyone has a life or personality, and everyone's different. And here's a prime example. So you just have to play your cards carefully, learn from our mistakes and our experiences, and move forward with it. So here's where I originally had put both Skittles at Midnight for a week or so, removed the females from the tank, let the fish have a break, and then put these two back in, and obviously it didn't work out, so this is where they are for the time being. What I'm probably going to end up using them for is I have some breeding tanks already set up, so in the future I'm probably just going to buy a set of 4 or 5 females and put one of each of these in with the females and just go from there. And if it doesn't work out due to the aggression and the nature of the fish and their personality, then just have to take them to our local fish store. I've done that once, and I'll do it again if I have to. No problem. So with Skittles at Midnight removed, you can obviously see that Kratos is able to swim freely with everybody else, no problem. And everyone else is getting along like they originally did before I added them two back in and removed the females. So, here we are. An all-male peacock and hap tank, just the way as I had intended it to. So with all that out of the way, there's some various additions I want to talk about, and also give you an update on the rest of the fish. And that's one of my blue dolphins. And the reason why you can tell it's male is because as it grows, it starts to get that significant hump that's right by its eye. Now here is what's called a sunshine peacock. That is one of 3 newest additions. For some reason it loves that cave. It doesn't hide in it all the time though. It does come out a lot. So as you can see there, it's actually out and roaming around. It just has to get used to its surroundings, but it doesn't do any harm to anybody. My second newest addition is this white-lipped Placidochromis madoka or blue sand dweller. And it's such a neat fish, especially when you see it sometimes in the dark. All you see is its white lips, and it's pretty neat. And it gets its name from Madoka because that's where it was originated from. Here's what we named Happy, Sulphurhead Peacock. It's really starting to grow and getting that nice yellow sulphur head on the top of it, despite its weird looking mouth. But anyways, moving right along, this is called a Stephen Eye Tiger Hap that we named Steven Tyler just because it worked. And he's still going quickly and doing quite well. And here's my third and final newest addition called a Yellow Blaze Lithobates Sulphurhead Hap. Can you tell I have a thing for sulphur heads? This is a Nagara Flametail I named Silence. I really hope he starts to color up now that the aggression has slowed down. But I guess time will tell, and we'll soon find out. But like I said, everything is getting along and moving swiftly without those two that I tried to make an attempt on today. OGOB is doing well, big old teddy bear just as always, so can't complain. There's that white lip Madoka. Oh yeah, and blue. Can't forget about my electric blue hat. This one's pretty calm as well, so I can't complain. I would recommend it to anybody because it's very peaceful. I told you that Sunshine Peacock comes out. It's really nice blue and yellow coloration, and that tail on the end is really neat. I'm really glad I got him. And last but surely not least, Venusa's Giraffe Cichlid. These things are known to get relatively big, so I'm really looking forward to seeing this thing grow and keep in the future. Now remember me telling you about how I removed 3 females? Well, here they are. Elizabeth, the Dragonblood Peacock, the female Venusa's Giraffe Cichlid, and the way that you can tell these and what I found out is they have this angelic look to them with a very yellow belly and fins on the bottom. And it's really noticeable when you put the male and the female together side by side, especially during a water change or a major overhaul, that their colors just basically are just night and day. And the blue dolphin that you see here, it's a lot more of a gray look, gray-blue, but it does have some sparkle to it. But if you look closely, it has a lot more of a pointy sort of front face and nose to it, as opposed to the males. They have, like I had mentioned earlier, a little hump on its head. So here's my best example. This is the male one, and as you can tell, as it's getting older, it starts to form that little bit of a hump on the front of its head and face. And that's a significant indicator that it's a male. And with all that being said, it's time to move on to part 2 of this video. And this is the part where I was telling you guys about to where 1 of 2 worked out, and I'm very happy about. This is my setup of mainly Frontosa with yellow lab and blue dolphins. And I figured I'd try this out with this female blue dolphin because these blue dolphins are known to be relatively peaceful. And even though he's on a little bit of a larger side compared to the rest of the fish or most of the fish that are in here, I wanted to give it a shot. I wanted to monitor this situation from a distance, mainly because I wanted to give you guys a good viewing experience, but also I didn't want to startle anybody whenever I first put that female blue dolphin in, just to make sure that things were going okay. As you can see here, the 2 males are kind of following her around a little bit, but they're not really doing any physical harm or being any sort of nuisance to the female. The yellow labs weren't bothering at all, and the Frontosa seemed pretty chill about it as well. Even that small blue MOBA Frontosa I have, that was actually one of my 3 concerns I had, was that the smaller blue MOBA Frontosa I got about a month ago didn't get picked on by it, which it isn't. I wanted to make sure that the female wasn't going to be any type of overly aggressive, being that it's the biggest fish in the tank now. And I didn't want the two males fighting over the one female or causing any other issues. Just like I had mentioned earlier, blue dolphins should be relatively peaceful and easy to maintain. So cross my fingers. I hope this works out. I really like this setup, and I really like the mixture of this fish altogether. And from what I've looked up, these are the best combinations you can get with Frontosa. In my opinion, of course. The light blue and black stripes you get on the Frontosa, with the light blue and black spots you get with the blue dolphins. And then you have the yellow labs that give that nice splash of yellow color and shimmer to it. Makes this setup look really neat. Keep growing, little guy. You'll do just fine. Well, if you guys made it this far, I can't thank you enough for going on this adventure with me. Between starting with the aggression progression and then ending on a very good note. So, 1 out of 2, I'll take 50%. But I'll keep monitoring this situation and let you know of any updates. Thank you so much for stopping out, and I'll see you guys again soon. Later days.